What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark, MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Octopus. It's something that should be just a documentary film, but for some reason Amazon decided to cut it and have to make it a docu-series. But it's basically, if you just put it together, it's just a documentary. It's sort of an odd choice. There isn't really like a clear definitive reason for this to be a part one and a part two. It's not 4 hours long. I don't even think it's two. So it does have audio description. It's done by Roundabout, and we're going to talk about it. Did I like Octopus? Find out by clicking like and subscribe. If you don't click like and subscribe, it throws you into that 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your cars today. That's what it does. So congratulations, you clicked like and subscribe. So you've been saved from the 1877 Cars for Kids. This is a documentary directed by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Well, narrated by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. It doesn't really matter. It just feels like Phoebe Waller-Bridge all over the place. So if you are not a fan of Phoebe Waller-Bridge, still watch this. It's kind of fun. It kind of made me think why we don't do this more, because Phoebe has a lighter touch to it, but also there's like this humorous approach to the octopus and to the story and to the narrative of the documentary. It doesn't feel like it's just a typical nature documentary that drags and is like, these are facts, and we're going to tell you them about the animal. Did you know that the animal can do this? Look at the animal in the wild. Look at what they're doing. Like Brendan Fraser recently with Sea Lions of the Galapagos. Like, it's fine. It's a nature documentary. There's only just so excited I'm ever going to be about that movie. It was fine for what it did. I learned more about sea lions and the Galapagos, and his narration was fine. Everything was fine. I gave the movie a B. I thought it was okay. It was good. You know, I think there's probably a threshold for film like that. I'm never gonna be like, oh my god. But Octopus actually has sort of potential for more than that. It's sort of amusing. It has the ability to poke fun and to sort of find cute ways of approaching its subject instead of necessarily feeling like it has to be just directly informative and sort of hands off. Phoebe feels like she's more part of the film and they're telling a story. We're still doing that thing where we like give the animal a name. Still, like it matters. like if you call out to that animal, it'll know what the name is. It's really just for cinematic purposes. I thought what was really interesting here is that Tracy Morgan finds his way into the documentary, but like actually into the documentary because he's a big fan of octopi. I think that's multiple. And so is his daughter. So he ends up being interviewed a lot, and he has some hot takes along the way. He's not here just to be silly either. He's here to just, I don't know, be Tracy Morgan, who is a real fan of the octopus. And it's an interesting thing. I mean, we do seem to have a weird fascination with octopus. This is not the first documentary on them, and this sort of explores the phenomenon around that just as much as it does the actual creature. So I thought it was interesting. There's not really much to talk about that isn't but I learned facts. I was kind of having a little dialogue with it at the end because octopus, not spoiler alert, I guess, but so the life cycle of an octopus ends with them like spending 4.5 years, I guess, in some sort of weird gestational period where they don't eat or anything. They just sit there while their eggs hatch and the new octopi are born. And then when that happens, they die. Like they die at birth, basically, at giving birth to the new octopuses. So, and they're like, I don't know, it's just kind of beautiful, the end. So we don't know why it happens or why. I was like, I don't know, maybe it's because she's pregnant for 4.5 years. Like, I have a feeling, I have a feeling if the human gestational period was 4.5 years and not 9 months, a lot of people would be having heavy thoughts about motherhood. There would be a lot less people on this planet. Families would be a lot smaller. The ability to reproduce at such rapid rates. And there would be women who would be dropping dead from exhaustion after 4.5 years of carrying a baby. Um, just the toll that it takes on your body, of having to do that. Yeah, it's fucking exhausting. So, um, and it's not like an octopus gives birth to one octopus either. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. But it's funny that nobody ever brings that up, and they all talk about how thinking about that like relates to their own personal experiences in life. And I'm like, maybe just think about like just what it's like the. I'm sure there's probably like an animal that is pregnant for longer than that. Maybe they don't die. I don't know, but I feel like it probably has something to do with the amount and simply the time that you're asking somebody to do that. So if if they're more like rabbits, I'm sure they would survive. It's this is fun. This was a decent nature documentary. It should just be a film. Like Amazon should have just released this as a I don't know why it's a docuseries. Did they think it's going to get like an Emmy nomination? They were like, well, this isn't going to get an Oscar nomination, so let's chop it in half and see if it gets an Emmy nomination. Maybe, I don't know, but um, I will see what if there's method to Amazon's madness at the Emmy Awards. Uh, Otherwise, it just feels utterly pointless, which is probably the only complaint that I have is why is this a two-part documentary, a two-part docuseries? It made sense for number one on the call sheet because like one of those was about the men and the other was about the women. This is literally just cut in half. This is not like there's not a before and after, a part one and a part two. It just feels like we just stopped and started, you know. So, but it had potential to be better. If it was a film, my grade would be higher. I thought the audio description was good, but I like Phoebe's narration, her in series narration more. I'm gonna give Octopus a B. Uh, if it had been a film, I'd give it a B plus, but it's obnoxious and it's cut in half for some reason. So it's a B for that. It doesn't make any sense to be a two episode series. It's just that makes no sense. That runs for under 2 hours. It's like, come on. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the other side.